Hello, and welcome to myfinancesteacher.org. Check out the website to stay tuned, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay informed on our analysis of precious metals, stocks, crude oil, as well as cryptocurrencies. And cryptos is what we're going to talk about today. Over the last few weeks, Bitcoin has been unfortunately trending downwards, and I think this trend might continue for another couple of weeks. In this video, I'll tell you about the reasons for this opinion. First of all, let's recap the cycles a little bit. We have a cycle somewhere here in Bitcoin between the end of March and early June. We have another cycle that started somewhere in the beginning of June and finished either in the middle of July or maybe at the end of July. Sometimes when we have these double bottoms, it's hard to pick the cycle low. And what I tend to do is just count the end of the cycle somewhere in the middle of that double bottom. Since then, we've been in a new cycle, and counting from that middle of the double bottom between the 17th of July and 28th of July, so counting from somewhere in the middle of that, the current cycle so far has only been going on for about 37 days. Generally, these cycles last for about a couple of months, so we are well past the middle of the cycle already, which means it's very unlikely to see another higher high within this current cycle. And on the other hand, we still have another few weeks to reach the normal duration of a couple of months, which means it's likely that this downtrend will continue until, well, say somewhere in the early or mid-September. And given that currently the price is not far from the previous low of around 9100, with the downward trend continuing for another couple of weeks, it's very likely that this cycle is going to give us a lower low. Next, let's have a look at some other indicators. Over here we have the 10-day RSI. At the end of June, of course, 10-day RSI was extremely overbought when the Bitcoin price nearly reached $14,000. This was the tip of this really strong rally when the Bitcoin price basically quadrupled since the beginning of this year. Such a strong rally, of course, needs some cool down, and this is what Bitcoin is doing at the moment. Currently, 10-day RSI is at about 36.5. It's getting close to oversold, but there is still a lot of room before RSI reaches 30. So that's another indicator telling us that there is still a good chance Bitcoin can continue moving down. Next, looking at Bollinger Bands, at the tops of the previous couple of cycles, Bitcoin did break through the Bollinger Bands. We see that in May, we see that in June as well. In the current cycle, at the very top, in early August, we also did break above the Bollinger Bands. That, as well as the RSI, also indicates that prices are getting a little bit too hot. On the downside, similarly, I would like to see prices poke through the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, just like they did in the middle of July. That will indicate that we are getting close to the cycle low. Next, let's have a look at some moving averages. This blue line here is a 50-day moving average, and over the last couple of weeks, all the way since middle of August, Bitcoin hasn't really managed to close convincingly above that 50-day moving average. A bit of an exception here on the 19th of August, but soon after that 50-day moving average was lost. Usually when you knock on the resistance or support level several times, that resistance or support level tends to break. Here, however, we've only knocked on this 50-day moving average a couple of times, once here somewhere in the middle of August and once over here on the 26th of August. And what we see at the moment is the price is pulling back away from that 50-day moving average, and that doesn't look healthy. On a similar note, looking at this 100-day moving average, we see that Bitcoin has knocked on this 100-day moving average multiple times, all the way since middle of August. And just as we mentioned, once you knock on the support zone for too many times, this constant knocking makes it kind of weak and the support breaks. This is what we're observing at the moment. And looking at 200-day moving average, 200-day moving average is actually all the way down at about $7,500. Is Bitcoin going to reach all the way down to its 200-day moving average? Well, I think there is a good chance of that. Bitcoin might not stay long at that 200-day moving average, because in my opinion, that would indicate a really strong buy signal for Bitcoin. But there is a chance that Bitcoin might slide down, at least somewhere close to that area. Let's have a look at the reason why I think there is a chance of that. And that is simply based on the support zones in the range of prices between the current price and that 200-day moving average. One of the support zones is somewhere between $9,000 and $9,100. That's formed by this top in late May, as well as the recent two lows on Bitcoin chart. So I think it's highly likely that Bitcoin price will at least reach this support zone over the next couple of weeks. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's also likely that this support zone is going to be broken, since this cycle has still been going on for around 40 days. So we still have potentially a whole 20 days to continue this downward momentum, meaning that there is a good chance 9,000 is probably going to be broken. If that support is broken, the next target and the next support zone is based on this early June low, which is actually at the same level as the 200-day moving average. By the time we break this 9,000, if let's say Bitcoin price does something like this over the next couple of weeks, this 200-day moving average will also gradually increase. So it's also likely that Bitcoin price will not actually reach this support zone at $7,500 US, but instead might come close to the 200-day moving average, somewhere around $8,000. In my opinion, that would be a very nice buying opportunity in Bitcoin, because in finance, a retest of 200-day moving average when the price is generally moving higher over a longer period is a really good buying opportunity. So that's what I see happening on Bitcoin. What do you guys see? Do you think prices are going to be lower than 9,000 in September? Let me know about that in the comments below. Remember to hit that like button, hit that bell notification as well, and good luck in your trades.